Greetings from atop Mount McKay overlook, not quite the top, or as it's known in the Ojibwa word, Anemki Waju, and I may be saying that wrong, forgive me if so. Looking just over Thunder Bay, Ontario, behind me here. Thunder Bay used to be two cities, Fort Williams here in the more closer foreground, and Port Arthur further in the background, and they consolidated roughly about 1970, I think, is when it became official. This overlook here looks over the entire city, of course. We're looking basically north and maybe a little northeast. Lake Superior there in the background is the background. We're actually looking at Thunder Bay, obviously, but Thunder Bay, part of Lake Superior. And looking southward, you would be seeing Minnesota, probably in the nearest. As a matter of fact, in the very far distance, I believe you can see that island, Isle Royale, I believe it's called, which is U.S. territory. It would just be a sliver just on the horizon. But of course, here closer to Thunder Bay, Sleeping Giant, which is more or less comprised, the little bit that I've been reading, and most of the geography around here, of this, which is basically a mafic sill, mafic being magnesium and iron, and sill just being its shape, forming horizontally as opposed to vertically, which would be called a dike, just of very hot, very liquid magma, just formed over time with this extremely hard rock, and just breaking through pieces of the geography that was around here, which was softer rock. So as that softer rock gets eroded away, this is what's left. Very reminiscent of Devil's Tower in Wyoming. In fact, there are a lot of little markers around here that remind me of that, including some of the rock just around the base here. Probably hard to see because we're working against the sun at this point, but Loon and I have been up here most of the afternoon, just enjoying it. It's really quiet, extremely quiet. There have been some people up here. Also been a bear. In fact, I was just going to see him again, black bear, so not our first encounter with a black bear, of course, but he was just up here snooping around earlier. But this has been a wonderful little afternoon experience. The weather's great. It's about 73, 75, I think, at last check, degrees in Fahrenheit. So really nice. And I get a sense that the humidity has let up a little bit since we've been up here. Doesn't feel quite as humid as it did down on the ground. So that's nice. I believe we just missed a powwow. This would have been the grounds for that type of a ceremony. And I think they had one just this weekend. So we kind of missed that. But what a cool place to have had a powwow. And this is still sacred First Nations territory. So if you come up here, there is a ticketing booth, basically a toll booth. It's about $10 right now for a normal car. You can walk on or bike on, I believe, for much less, and then larger vehicles like tour buses pay a larger fee, of course. But yeah, this is it. It's a great view of the Thunder Bay area. You can see well into the distance. It's just after 9 now, so I think we've got about an hour till sunset. So we'll be up here for sunset. I think the observation area up here closes around 10 anyway, which is when sunset is. So we'll shut it down up here tonight. Mosey on back down to Thunder Bay. It's been really nice. I'm hesitant to go anywhere because the weather's holding out for us. I mean, it's just on the edge of being warmer than what I care for, but it's a nice town. You've got everything you need here. It's not overrun with, you know, extreme summer tourism. There's plenty of tourist stuff around here to partake in, but this is mostly a place where people live, I think. So that's nice. You don't feel so claustrophobic. The terrain is beautiful. The area is not too big, so it doesn't take us very long to drive from one side of town to the other. In fact, we're looking out at the airport over here. I think if you go here to, I think the Kamenistik River is right here next to us, but there's another river a little further north, I believe, or some body of, well, there's the lake and the falls, and I guess those empty out into Boulevard Lake. I should have said it by name. Boulevard Lake, I think, has a little fall, a little cascade, and that goes out into Lake Superior, Thunder Bay. But if I were to drive from the airport to over there, it's maybe all of 10 miles, perhaps. So not overwhelming by any sense. So I appreciate that. But lots of nature, lots of little pockets of town to hang out and explore. And like I said, the weather being the chief concern for Luna and I, it's been really nice. So our initial goal was to head west, maybe in the direction of Calgary, possibly as far as Calgary, as we kind of have a tentative plan of seeing the American Great Plains once the weather cools down. But we may hang out here for a while. We'll see how it goes, weather permitting, of course. Cool city, man. This is a great place to hang out and see everything. I love having a view. We're about 1,000 feet. Well, rather, I shouldn't say that. The peak here is about 1,000 feet above Lake Superior. So, you know, I would call that, I don't know, 300-400 feet maybe. So you figure 700, 600 feet above Lake Superior, and then you can just see everything out here. Obviously a port, still pretty big lumber industry, but I think that was bigger at one time. There are a lot of grain elevators. They also do, I think the grain is for importing grain. They also have, said timber, paper mills. There used to be multiple paper mills here. Now I think they're down to one or two. What's the other one? Mining. There's a lot of ore, and in fact there's ore ships out here. I believe these are ore ships out here for that industry as well. So it's been a beautiful little spot, and this is a great place to experience it. Like I said, $10 to come up here. It's good as a day pass, so you've got it for the duration of your day, and you can enjoy all this. You know, come up, there's not a whole lot in the way of amenities or anything. I think there's probably some chemical toilets. They may have things going on throughout the warmer months, and we're just not here for you know, the peak of any of that. Obviously they had the powwow recently, and I'm sure they do other things as well, but count on bringing your own, you know, food and beverages, refreshments, anything that you might need. But it's an easy little drive up here from just here at the southern edge of Thunder Bay. You make your way up the mountain. It's a nice easy drive, beautiful area. Like I said, really quiet, really pristine. It was hard not to fall asleep. I was reading up about some of this stuff just so I had some, you know, some information about the things that I was looking at, including the mountain here. Yeah, it's so quiet, and we've pretty much had the entire grounds to ourselves. There's a couple of campers, I think, and there have been people coming and going, and of course the one bear. But really nice, beautiful place, especially if the weather's to your liking. This is a great place to spend a day in Thunder Bay and take in the views and enjoy an aerial panorama of Thunder Bay and the city and Lake Superior, of course. So we're gonna shut it down here for sunset before heading back down for the night, and we'll see where tomorrow takes us.